The million-year-long rain, the Carnian Pluvial event. Approximately 230 million years ago, an endless acid rain hit the Earth. This rain fell non-stop in every corner of the planet for more than a million years, completely changing the surface of our planet. During this period, many species adapted to a dry and arid climate became extinct. But in return, many others emerged, including dinosaurs. But how did this event happen? What did it mean for the life forms that inhabited the planet then? And most importantly, what caused uninterrupted rain for more than a million years? Stay with us to find out. 230 million years ago, when all the continents were one, an event changed the Earth's history. The Carnian Pluvial episode, abbreviated CPE by its acronym in English. This event originated from a series of massive volcanic eruptions in the Rangelaya region, which is currently located in northeastern North America. These eruptions were caused by the subduction process of the Pacific tectonic plate beneath the North American plate. This geological phenomenon generated a massive release of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide (CO2), methane (CH4), and water vapor, drastically altering the Earth's atmosphere composition. Rangelaya's eruptions were of such magnitude that they released vast amounts of CO2, causing a significant increase in global temperature. It is estimated that during this period, the Earth's temperatures increased by 4 to 8 degrees Celsius, resulting in a much more pronounced climate change than we are currently experiencing due to global warming. This drastically changed weather patterns, increasing temperatures, altering seasons and ocean currents, and increasing the frequency and intensity of natural phenomena such as hurricanes or tornadoes. In this period, Earth was in the final phase of the formation of Pangaea, the supercontinent that linked almost all of the planet's landmass. The dominant fauna was mainly composed of reptiles, amphibians, and other primitive animals. The dinosaurs' presence was still scarce and limited, as most of the supercontinent was completely arid and desert. This is because the areas farthest from the coast of Pangaea received virtually no rainfall, making the most central areas huge endless deserts where very few living things were adapted to live. On the other hand, coastal areas had less hot climates and access to freshwater sources that flowed into the ocean, so most species were concentrated on the periphery of the continent and not in the center. However, this was about to change drastically. Extreme climate change. Rangelaya's volcanic eruptions affected Earth's atmosphere and produced a significant imbalance in the global climate. The release of CO2 and other greenhouse gases, such as methane, increased the concentration of these in the atmosphere, which accelerated global warming. This temperature increase caused a series of alterations in weather patterns, leading to extreme weather events. Changes in global temperature, especially in the oceans and water masses, modified winds and ocean currents, affected heat distribution on Earth's surface. The cold regions began to experience warmer weather, while other areas were subjected to extreme heat conditions. This extreme climate change devastated many species, resulting in mass extinction. Still, it also allowed new species to adapt and evolve rapidly to take advantage of the new environmental conditions. Among the most notable effects of this climate change were the alteration of water cycles and the availability of resources in various regions, which profoundly changed ecological interactions. Massive volcanic eruptions led to global warming, including increased ocean temperatures. This altered the dynamics of marine ecosystems, affecting both organisms that live near the surface and in the depths. The CO2 released by the eruptions dissolved in the oceans, causing increased atmospheric acidification. This negatively affected marine organisms that depend on forming calcium carbonates, such as corals, mollusks, and crustaceans. It also severely disrupted marine food chains and reduced biodiversity, as many species could not adapt to the new water conditions. The Carnian Pluvial event caused a major marine extinction. Between 50 and 70% of marine species disappeared due to rising temperatures, ocean acidification, and a lack of oxygen in deep waters. This mainly affected the ammonoids, trilobites, and other organisms already in decline, but it also affected more abundant aquatic species, profoundly altering marine ecosystems. The increase in rainfall, coupled with global climate change, altered the circulation patterns of ocean currents and the temperature of surface waters, which impacted the distribution of aquatic species, which were forced to adapt to new habitats or move to other areas in search of more favorable conditions. The eruptions not only acidified the oceans but also caused an imbalance in the natural cycles that govern the Earth, especially three: 1. The carbon cycle, 2. The water cycle, and 3. The geological cycle. This happened as follows. The CO2 released during July's massive volcanic eruptions began to be absorbed by the Earth's crust through the carbon cycle, a process critical to the planet's climate balance. This cycle involves the transfer of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to rocks and soil, where it is stored as carbonates and other compounds. This process in turn also resulted in an increase in the activity of the water cycle. With more CO2 trapped in the atmosphere, temperatures increased, which favored the evaporation of water at the Earth's surface. The increased amount of water vapor in the atmosphere favored the formation of clouds and precipitation, which caused a cycle of intense and continuous rainfall. This series of events created the conditions for a great flood, which lasted approximately 1 million years and radically transformed ecosystems. Thus, we observe that the geological cycle that caused the eruptions influenced the carbon cycle, which in turn influenced the water cycle. So, a single, seemingly isolated event ended up completely transforming the Earth. Hey, before moving on, be sure to like or dislike the video so that we can improve them for you, the viewer. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to our channel by making sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily videos. The Great Flood of a Million Years. The Carnian Pluvial event was characterized by continuous rainfall that lasted approximately 1 million years. As we have observed, this phenomenon was not the result of chance, but rather the direct result of the interaction between the geological cycle, the carbon cycle, and the water cycle, and it completely transformed the landscape of Pangaea. Remember how we said that the central areas of the supercontinent were vast deserts where it rarely rained? That changed completely. Suddenly, the desert and arid regions of central Pangaea were filled with endless, abundant rains that caused massive flooding in various parts of the supercontinent, drastically modifying the ecosystems and biodiversity of the time. Recall that now the atmosphere was whole of greenhouse gases that rushed to the ground along with the rain, causing acid rain. In other words, it was not just rain, but a slightly corrosive rain that eroded rocks and mountains for thousands of years. This means that the rain eventually created huge streams of water that dissolved large areas of land, giving rise to cave and cavern systems such as the Triassic cave system in Britain. Thus, the rain also created new habitats for the living things that would emerge later. The discovery of this great flood and its impact on Earth resulted from the work of scientists who studied the geological and fossil traces left by the rains. In the 1980s, paleontological research on sediments revealed evidence of abrupt and prolonged climate change, leading scientists to propose the existence of a continuous flood. Studies of fossils and geological remains estimated that a large portion of the animal and plant species in Pangaea became extinct due to the extreme conditions caused by continuous acid rainfall. Dr. Stephen G. Lucas is one of the leading paleontologists who has worked on studying Triassic extinctions and climatic events. His research in the Triassic strata, particularly in the United States, has provided a wealth of data on the climate change that led to the Carnian Pluvial event. Lucas has studied fossils and sedimentary layers to help us understand how massive volcanic eruptions and climate change altered ecosystems during this period. This event had a momentous impact on life on Earth. While a large number of species disappeared, new environmental conditions favored others. The species that survived and adapted to humidity and extreme climatic fluctuations were the ones that gave rise to the proliferation of biodiversity and favored the evolution of new forms of life. Among them, those that would be the absolute masters of the planet for the next 180 million years. Fertile ground for Earth's new masters of the Earth, the dinosaurs. The Carnian rainfall event radically transformed the Earth, creating an entirely new world of whole life and potential for the species that survived the Great Flood. The humid and warm conditions favored the proliferation of vegetation, which allowed the dinosaurs to expand and occupy different ecological niches. Prior to this event, dinosaurs were relatively rare on Earth and limited to certain areas. However, the climate change generated by the flood allowed dinosaurs to adapt quickly to new environments and inhabit a wide variety of ecosystems. One of the first would be the Herrerasaurus. It was discovered by paleontologist Rodolfo Coria in the 1950s in what is now the region of South America, mainly in what is now Argentina in the province of San Juan. Since then, it has been considered one of the first representatives of the lineage of carnivorous dinosaurs. Herrerasaurus was a primitive theropod, a type of bipedal-laying carnivorous dinosaur with features that distinguished it from and resembled more advanced dinosaurs. Their body structure was relatively small compared to other dinosaurs that would emerge later, reaching a length of around 4 to 6 meters and an estimated weight of 200 to 350 kilograms. Its body was agile and well adapted for hunting, with an elongated skull and sharp teeth, ideal for a predatory animal. This became the common ancestor of many species that would later dominate the planet, from sauropods to theropods. Surviving the Great Flood, it quickly spread throughout Pangaea, having abundant vegetation and practically no competitors at its disposal, giving rise to what would be the new age of the dinosaurs. The diversity of dinosaur species emerged after the Carnian rainfall event was impressive. Thanks to their ability to adapt to new climatic and ecological conditions, these animals occupied all ecosystems, from forests and plains to swampy areas. This event marked the beginning of the Age of Dinosaurs, which would last for millions of years. The end of one era and the beginning of another. Although dinosaurs dominated the Earth for nearly 200 million years, they failed to adapt to the catastrophic events that occurred at the end of their reign. Meteorites caused the mass extinction of dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous, ending their dominance and ushering in a new era in which mammals began to control ecosystems. Despite their evolutionary success and ability to adapt to diverse environments, dinosaurs did not develop the intelligence needed to deal with the threat of meteorites, which destroyed most life on Earth. However, from the extinction of the dinosaurs came new opportunities for other species, such as mammals, among which eventually one brilliant being stood out: humans. This is how uncontrolled volcanic eruptions unbalanced the carbon cycle and in turn unbalanced the water cycle, causing a million-year flood that completely transformed the entire planet's ecosystems, extinguishing many species and preparing the ground for the next one, the dinosaurs. These would rule the planets for almost 200 million years and later become extinct due to the impact of a meteorite, leaving the Earth in the domain of the survivors, the mammals, from which a species endowed with superior intelligence, the human, would emerge, initiating a new stage in the history of life on the planet. Now we want to hear your opinion. Would dinosaurs have managed to populate the entire planet without the Carnian Pluvial episode? Let us know your opinion in the comments.